Retirement and living as an expat means that you're married to your visa, which is issued by that country's immigration. So, in this little show, I'm going to give you 4 tips backed up by some stories based off of experience, my personal experiences on how to deal with immigration. If you find yourself traveling the world, living as an expat outside your home country, your visa is very important to you. Why am I making this video? I get messages, comments, emails sent to me about certain topics. And most of the time, I have no idea what you guys are talking about because I'm not on any type of social media. What do? I enjoy making videos. That's what I do. I try to read as many comments as I can. I can't read them all. I'm not on Twitter. I'm not on Facebook. I don't listen to or read any of these groups. I'm not in the know. But that's part of living the expat life, so to speak. And I don't even consider myself an expat because when you say you're an expat, all of a sudden people think you're part of a club. Okay, I don't belong to any clubs and any groups. I just do my own thing. So I'm not influenced by all the rumor mills. And I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't be influenced by the rumor mills when it comes to immigration and visas. So some messages were sent about some changes in immigration policy or law. Again, I have no idea. I'm not up on this stuff. I'm not the source for up-to-date information. But there are well then why am I listening to you? Well, there's over 1,800 videos on this channel, and there's only a handful that were made inside my home country of the United States. So you can use deductive reasoning as to why you might want to listen to what I'm saying. One more disclaimer and I'll jump into it. These tips have nothing to do with the country I'm currently sitting in. They have everything to do with every country's immigration service in the world. And I will start out by admitting that the worst immigration service in the world is in my own country of the United States of America. The whole immigration process is horrible. If you've ever had to deal with USCIS, that's worse than the worst driver's license, most crowded driver's license office you've ever been to in the world. It's worse than dealing with the Internal Revenue Service. So I'm not here casting stones at any other country's immigration service because I am admitting to you up front, the worst in the world is the United States of America. All right. So 4 tips about immigration for new expats, retirees. Number 1, if you need to get a visa renewed, use a service. This is common sense, but unless you've been down this road a few times, you don't understand the value of using a local service. Now let me be specific. You use an established, specialized visa service that their office is somewhere in close proximity to immigration, or at least one of their main offices is in close proximity to an immigration office. Now maybe they have satellite offices out in the middle of nowhere, okay. But if those little satellite offices are connected to an established visa service, you want to use that service. Now what's the difference of using a visa service versus using your attorney? It comes down to relationships and frequency and specialization. Okay, always consult an attorney on any legal matters. Obviously, you can consult an immigration attorney about immigration issues and problems. But if you're merely getting a visa renewed, it's my experience, Use the visa service that everybody else uses, that's right next to immigration or in the parking lot of immigration, that this is all they do. And if they have a question, they're within a few steps of their buddy, the immigration officer, that they can go ask a question, where your lawyer may be, a few miles down the road. They're handling land deals and criminal defense, and oh, by the way, they can do visas. That doesn't make them an expert. If you have a problem, maybe the lawyer is the way you have to go. But for the average renewal, just use a visa service that's established, that's reputable, that a lot of people go to. If you go there, here's how you know you're in a good visa service, right? You walk in there and you're looking at other foreigners, okay? If you walk into a visa service and you're the only person in there and you've never heard of it, it's maybe one employee, okay, maybe you're not in the right place, okay? So there you go. Use a service. A lot of times when you use a service, you don't even have to make a personal appearance at immigration. Okay, you hand them your documents, you pay them the money, they handle everything. You come back the next day, you pick up your passport, thank you very much. You never had to go face to face with an immigration officer. Now, there's so many benefits to that. Okay, and I'll just give you, for example, in Angeles City, right? I've done both things. I went over to Marquee Mall, waited out front with the rest of the foreigners till they open up that sliding door at the grocery store, and then everybody does this fast walk because you want to be first in line, but you can't run. You can't break a stride and run, or people are going to bust you out. You got to be respectable. So you got to do this fast Olympic-style speed walk. So you get up to the front of the line, and you're filling out this piece of paper. And used to, you had to drop it off in the morning, then come back in the afternoon. It burned a whole day. It wasn't a bad experience, but who's got time for that? When you can go to, what's it called, 385 Travel, if I'm saying that right. It's on the backside of Scorebirds, right? Hand them your documents, hand them your money, make sure all your stuff is in order. Come back the next day or a few days later and pick it up. They'll text you when it's ready. Which one do you want to do? Well, people are so cheap. And this is a word when you're dealing with your visa that you need to take out of your head. Okay? You don't want a cheap visa service. It's like you don't want the cheapest lawyer when you're in jail. And you certainly don't want the cheapest neurosurgeon if you need brain surgery, okay? You get what you pay for. So take the word cheap out of your vocabulary if you truly don't want to worry. Well, nothing's 100%. Nothing's 100% guaranteed. I'll bring that up. There's no right for you to remain in somebody else's country. It's a privilege. They give you that privilege via that visa. There's no right. And if you start thinking that you have a right to be in anybody's country but your own, you're wrong. Because one stamp, a little bit of ink on a piece of paper, and you will leave that country. It doesn't matter what you have there, you're going to leave because you're considered a guest. That word is very subjective. Some countries, they tolerate you. They tolerate us as foreigners. And again, I'm not picking on any certain country. Attitudes about certain demographics in my own country. There's biases everywhere you go. Some tourists are welcome, some are tolerated, some are not welcome. But there's no right for you to remain in anybody else's country. So just get that out of your head. You're knocking on the door saying, please let me stay in your country. Okay, so use a service. It's about time. It's a few extra dollars. I'm talking a few bucks. $5, $10, $20, depending on what country you're in. It's a few extra dollars to have that service, do all the paperwork for you, interface with immigration, and just hand you back your privilege to stay a few more months or another year or whatever it is. Why wouldn't you want to pay those few extra dollars? But people are so cheap. I don't think I can't. Some people are truly broke, but I think a lot of people are just so cheap that they would rather sit there all damn day and save $20 and roll the dice and have to get face to face with somebody. My Russian friends, I love you, but y'all are some of the cheapest folks on the planet that I've ever seen. Y'all will sit there at immigration all day long with your kids and the stroller and just all wrong, sitting there in your bathing suit when you could have been like the rest of us and paid 20 extra bucks and been in and out of there. I don't get it, but I'm not trying to spend somebody else's dollars for them. That's the worst thing you can do, is tell a man how to spend his money. So I'm not telling you how to spend your money, but it's sort of an insurance policy. The least face-to-face encounters you have with any type of law enforcement or government individual is beneficial to you in any capacity. Out of sight, out of mind. You don't want somebody taking a look at your stuff face to face, be like, oh, wait a minute, I see. Use a service, okay? A reputable service. It's a few extra dollars in most countries. It acts as an insurance policy, frees up your day. It's just all around smart to do, okay? They make sure all your stuff is together before it gets handed to the officer. Because the worst thing is for you to go in there by yourself, don't fill out the papers, go up there and get no-go'd because you're an idiot. And that's subjective, because you didn't know what you need, or you didn't fill it out properly, or it's in the wrong language, or you didn't get a copy or a stamp. Worst thing you want to do is go up there and get no-go'd. Now the guy remembers you. You see, so many things that the service just takes off of your plate for a few extra bucks. Okay, so number 2. If you're one of those who insists on saving $5, doing everything yourself because it's the principle of it, I'm not spending extra if it says, okay. If you find yourself in that category where you voluntarily show up at an immigration office and handle your own business, which that's fine and dandy. I've done it many times myself, just depending on the situation, how friendly the immigration office is. Sometimes I didn't need to use the service. And so if you find yourself walking in there, look and act respectable, like a gentleman, like a lady. So let's just start out by appearance. You go to some of these immigration offices, and like Thai folks are very tolerant, very quiet. And like you'll go into an immigration office and it's full of Russians, and I swear to God, they all come from the beach. They're wearing these short shorts, like their bathing suit, tank top, cut down to here. The attire that I complain about when people wear this on an airplane, it's not appropriate to wear that type of attire on a flight. It's beach wear. It's gym wear. It's not appropriate to go to a government office, especially immigration, that controls your freedom to live in that country, your privilege. Okay, not your right, but your privilege to live in that country. And you're going to knock on the door and say, sir, can I, stay 2 more months in your country, while he or she is wearing a uniform, very formal, a position of power, the ultimate power over your ability to remain where your ass is currently standing. And you're going to show up there dressed like a bum. You're wrong. When you walk into that immigration office, look respectable. And I'm not talking a 3-piece suit. I'm talking about some long pants. And y'all might argue, oh, I wear my shorts. Do whatever you want, okay? You make your own video and give your own advice. I'm giving my advice. You go to immigration, men, you wear long pants and a shirt that's tucked in with a collar. This t-shirt right here looks wonderful, okay? If I want to go to 7-Eleven, this is appropriate 7-Eleven wear. I want to go to the beach just every day around the house, t-shirt, no problem. We're all t-shirt guys because they're comfortable and it's hot in the tropics. Got it. Immigration, collar. Collared shirt tucked in. Okay, golf shirt, a polo shirt. Okay, appropriate, right? Button up. Something with a collar and some damn buttons on it. Henley? Nope. It's got them little 3 buttons, looks like a t-shirt. No, it's got to have a collar. Tuck your shirt in. Make sure you're wearing a belt. And no flip-flops. No flip-flops. No men's toes and toe jam showing when you go in front of an immigration officer. You're wrong. Okay, is this region, most males outside the office environment, they wear flip-flops. But if you go into that immigration office where they're sitting in there all day long in a uniform, they're not wearing flip-flops. And you, the applicant, the guest, should not be wearing flip-flops either. That's beach wear. All right? That's local wear. You ride in a trike? Okay, wear flip-flops. Walking around the house? Okay. Going to an immigration office, put you some proper shoes on. And it doesn't matter. If I'm not going to... Tennis shoes? Okay, but it sort of takes away that business look. If you've got some type of dress shoes or some type of leather shoes or boots or something, right? You get where I'm coming from. I'm not trying to spend your money on a wardrobe, but I am telling you that beach wear with your balls hanging out and your big old thing of underwear hair, like you got Don King in a fucking headlock going in there sweating, you know, all chest hair hanging out, look like a goddamn grizzly bear. You're wrong. Okay, because you're already giving that person that snapshot impression that you're a dirt bag, that you're an absolute shit bag. What else is this guy into? Do I need to take another look at this guy to cover my ass? Versus walking in there dressed business casual, professional. They're not going to waste their time on you. Okay, act respectable. Act like a gentleman. It's pretty simple. It's pretty simple. How do you do that? Walk up. Good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am. How are you? Pretty damn simple. Hand them your shit and wait patiently. Patience. This is what they do all day long. It doesn't matter if you're in a hurry. It doesn't matter if you're trying to catch that 4 o'clock ferry and you didn't budget enough time. Patience. You wait patiently. It's just like I tell these ladies here. We're never late for a doctor's or a dentist appointment, or immigration for that matter. If I had an appointment, you're never late. But the doctor can be late. Why? Because they're the doctor. The dentist can be late. Why? Because they're the dentist. It's just that because they hold that control over you, that power, and you want to show them that respect. Because your ultimate objective is to what? Is to walk out of that office with your visa extended. So, pretty simple. Basic greetings. Good morning, sir. How are you? Here's my stuff, and wait patiently. Don't look at your watch, because you ain't got nothing more important to do than to get that visa extended. Don't matter if you got a business or you know, your wife's waiting. It don't matter, because if you don't get that visa, your ass going to be back in your home country or somewhere else. You ain't got to go home, but you'll have to get the hell up out of there. So acting respectable. No bathing suits, no tank tops. Leave your children at home unless you have to extend their visa as well. Unless they're part of the visa process, leave your kids at home. Now, I have violated that rule myself, but I'm not taking the kids inside the office. Okay, they're going to stay outside the office. If we go to the mall, they're outside the office. And I have to tell myself sometimes I violated that rule. I just come up, nonchalant. Yeah, you wait out here, and then I'm sitting there inside, and I hear the kids out there being noisy. I'm like, oh my gosh. Don't create any disturbances unless they're part of the process. And this is what I told her the last time. I said, look, next time we go, y'all are on a different floor, or stay in the toy store. Don't come outside and wait outside the immigration office, all right? Unless you're part of the process or needed. And I bring that up because I've been so many times where, again, Russian folks sitting there in immigration all day with their kids in the stroller, changing diapers, making so much noise. And I'm like, my gosh, it's not professional. Not professional at all. Most of the time when I go to immigration, I'll carry a small leather portfolio or, an envelope or something. Don't walk in there with like papers rolled up or, folded in half, blowing around. Again, it's about a little bit of professionalism, like you got your shit together, like you're a responsible person. Sometimes I carry a briefcase if I got a lot of documents. But a portfolio with a pen and a notepad, what does it convey? It just conveys that you're not some fucking drunk sitting over there, up to no good. When I talk about acting like a gentleman, and I'm telling on myself, don't stop off at the bar and have a few drinks before you go renew your visa. I'm guilty of it. Folks, I am 100% guilty of that, but it was a dumb move. For example, I went there in the morning. I was told to, come back. So what do? I sit out front, get me some Thai food, and drink some Shanghais. That's wrong, because now when I go back in there, nobody in there, none of the officers are obviously drinking. So when I'm sitting face to face, what do you think they're doing? They're like, God damn, dude smells like booze, half drunk, or whatever their opinion is. But if they smell booze, perception of you goes down. Let's just be honest about it, right? Don't do it. Go there sober, handle your business. Once you get your shit done, you stop by the bar on the way out. That's just the way it is. Don't sit around outside. Even if they got cafes and stuff, you can sit around, drink beer, wait for your shit. Don't do it. Get your business handled. Don't be smelling like booze. Because what happens if you have a few? You have a few, then you go back in there, and for some reason you get no-go'd. Or like, oh, you need to get this. You got to go over there and get this piece of paper, or get a copy. We need 2 copies. Something will set you off. And if you've been drinking, like me, you're going to run that mouth. When I'm sober, I can remain quiet, no problem. I can put up with everything. But if I've had a few, okay, it loosens you up, makes you want to run that mouth. That's another reason why you don't, right? And I'm going to tell some stories. I think I'll just wait to tell my stories at the end, because I've got case studies on all this stuff, right? Point number 3, tip number 3. So to recap, number 1, use the service. Number 2, look and act like a gentleman when you show up for face-to-face encounters. Number 3, stop worrying about the rumors, the scaremongering, the horror stories, the Facebook rumor mill, the YouTube rumor mill, all of this shit. Stop worrying about it, and I'm going to tell you why. Okay? Number 1, immigration laws, procedures, policies are constantly changing everywhere in the world. They can change on a yearly basis. It might change every 2 or 3 years. They can change on a monthly basis. They can change on a weekly basis, even a daily basis. Local offices may have different policies or do things different than, but in Bangkok they gave me 6 months, or in Manila I got 6 months. Now you're going to sit there and argue. Well, That's not how they do business at wherever you're at. So there's no need to argue. But when I say don't worry, things change. All right, and I'll save the story for the end, but in Thailand, things that impacted my life severely changed within a matter of days. So you have to roll with the punches, understand that no immigration rule or law is going to remain the same. Typically, every year, what happens with laws and paperwork the world around, they get more complicated and more complicated. You got to jump through more hoops. You got to kill more trees and present more documents. It's nothing new, folks. It's nothing new, and it's not specific to one country. Does life get easier for us as technology rises up and they're able to track our asses more and more, and this person wants to track you and this person wants their piece of the pie? No. Life in general is getting more complicated and more complicated. And if you're my generation or older, you know what I'm talking about. Back in the 80s, when I talk about all this things all the time. We used to ride bikes or go to the creek and play football on the street. Then what happened? Here come technology and video games. Life's gotten more complicated since. So don't worry about the rumors because they're outside your control. Your situation is totally different than the next man's situation. Why? Because he's been in country longer than you, different age, come from a different country, different type of visa, different office he went to, different immigration officer that he got face to face with. A lot of these decisions are the discretion of the immigration officer. It's their discretion. It's like when a police officer pulls you over for speeding, it's his discretion whether he writes you a ticket, issues you a written warning, a verbal warning. It's just the officer's discretion. So one guy that gets no-go'd at this office, another guy might go in there with a similar situation and get approved. It's outside your control. So I'm not saying don't do research, but why worry about it? It's outside your control. You get all your ducks in a row the best you can to what that law and what that policy says and what that visa service is telling you to do, and you go up there and present your documents. And if they no-go you have to go from there. But worrying about the rumor mill or getting scared up, folks, I don't even know how many years I've been outside my home country, right? But if I pack my bags, if every time an issue or a rumor about immigration popped up, something that scared everybody up, if I got scared every time I heard a rumor, whether it was true or not, I would have packed my bags hundreds of times and unpacked them. Does that make sense? So I don't worry about it. I get my shit together, I present it, and I go from there. But you're not going to scare me. You're not going to make me worry or make me go in there and pack a suitcase because of some rumor. No. Stop worrying about it. It's outside your control. All right? Your situation is different than everybody else. Let's see. Number 4, because this ties into number 4. Well, let me back up. Okay, in Thailand, some rules have came out which were very unpopular, and there was a lot of negative press and a lot of backlash, and a lot of the tourism industries and hotel industry, what have you, pushed back on these rules so much that they reversed course. So if you're one of those that gets scared up so easy by the first wave of negative YouTube videos or articles, and you roll out, you may roll it out too soon. Okay? Because a lot of times the way they interpret the rules aren't as bad as you think they're going to be, or they reverse course, or it was just an idea that got publicized and it doesn't make it through the official channels and become law. Don't pack your suitcases. Don't pack your suitcases until you go there and there's a stamp in your passport that says you got to leave within 14 days. well, then you got to start packing, right? Uh, but this ties into tip number 4: rent. Y'all have heard me talk about this so many times. You rent. You rent a place at least for the first year when you move outside your home country. Many reasons. See if you like the city, see if you like the country, see if you have any problems with renewing your visa. If you rent, why are you worried about immigration or visas at all? Don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about the rules. If you rent something, you go in there, here's my stuff, and if they tell you you got to get out, you pack 2 suitcases and you move to the next country or you go home. There's no worry in that. But where there's stress and worry is if you own property or you own a business, you got kids, well, now all of a sudden you have to be concerned about your visa because it's detrimental to your way of life. But if you're a bachelor, you just retired, you're just moving out of your home country, you got no kids here, no wife, don't go trying to buy a condo. It's an anchor. Don't buy land. It's an anchor that now you have to really be concerned with your visa, because that's the most important thing. No visa, you got to get the hell up out of here. Don't matter if you got a business, land, condos. Don't matter you got 12 condos. You can't get that visa renewed, you're leaving. Or you would be considered what's called an overstay. I'll save that story for the end too. It's on a video, but I'll compress it. Sort of where I got the name for this channel when I rebranded it. And you don't want to be living anywhere outside your home country as an overstay. Okay? It's better to get the hell out. Get the hell out before that expiration date where you're in the good graces. Don't stay around and become an overstay, then try to fight an issue. Oh, by the way, I'm an overstay. You might find yourself king of a jail cell somewhere. And if you do find yourself, the joy of renting is that if you do find yourself persona non grata in country A, you just look around and pick another country that will welcome you, that does welcome you, that you feel welcome in, that will welcome the money that you spend supporting their local economy every month. You're not going to teach people lessons. And it shouldn't be your concern to teach somebody a lesson. It's just like, hey, do I feel welcome here? Do I enjoy my life? Okay, well, I'll stay around here and spend all my retirement money in your local economy. But if you want to treat me like shit and make me jump through too many hoops, if you're a renter, you just pack up and move to a more friendly environment. Pretty easy, right? But if you own any of those anchors, you got to take the punches. You ain't got no choice. Okay, skipped over that note. I talk about how people are cheap. This goes back to using a service. Throughout the years, I've given so much advice or just told my stories. And for the most part, people don't listen to you. People don't take your advice. Men, not too many men take other men's advice. Oh, I'm going to do it my way. Even if they watch your video. Okay, alright, go ahead, Big Pimpin'. What's that old song? Ask for money, get advice. Ask for advice, get money twice. I listen to everybody. Doesn't mean I do what they say. But you learn when you're listening. Okay? Being cheap. One of the things I sort of left out was if you're going to go face to face and try to do something yourself, go to what I call a more friendly immigration office. Now, typically, if you go to these immigration offices in the big city, they're hectic. There's a line out the door. And there's the human factor. Those immigration officers are stressed out. It's like working at the DMV. Because they're dealing with hundreds of people coming and going every day, complaining. At what point does it get so stressful you have no patience for anybody, right? Versus going to a small little office where you walk in there and you look around, you're like the only guy there, or maybe one other foreigner. Everybody's friendly, drinking a coffee, just everybody's calm. It's a totally different human factor. They're not stressed out. They're more to have a conversation with you or answer some questions, go out of their way to help you out, versus going to a madhouse where the people over there are working, forced overtime or what have you. They still can't keep up with the amount of foreigners coming through there. Well, it's a human factor. So many times I've given people advice. Hey man, go to this office here. There's nobody there. It's a best kept secret. They're very friendly. You'll never wait in line behind more than one other guy. But people are so cheap, they won't spend $4 on a damn cab ride to get over there. They'll go stand in line and deal with the madhouse because they save $4. You can't make this up. So if somebody says, hey man, I went to this little office, they're friendly, it's out of the way, nobody goes there, they got 4 employees or 5 officers, and I was the only guy there, they were friendly, dude was talking to me about fishing, spend the $4 damn dollars and take your ass over to the more friendly, less crowded, less hectic immigration office, because the people, they're not going to be stressed out like the ones in the big city. Okay, stories. It's story time. So let me tie in some stories here. At one point, I was in overstay in Dubai. Now, I did a video about it, and back then I was a little more passionate and a little fired up and pissed off. But I'll put the link to that video down in the description. The long story was, when I came in there, I was supposed to get X amount of days, and I asked nicely the immigration officer. I said, hey, I'm going to be staying a little bit longer. Could I possibly get, I can't remember, you have to watch the video, exact numbers, but I think I was supposed to get 30. I said, hey man, I'm staying for 45 days. He stamped me in for 60. I was like, hey, thank you very much. I was in Dubai. I was like, thank you very much. Went on about my business. Now, I came in through Abu Dhabi, but I went out through Dubai. When I went out through Dubai, the computer said I was an overstay. Even though on my passport, clearly written, it was clearly stamped in there, no shenanigans, officer did it. But the guy said, hey man, the computer says you're an overstay. I have to go by what the computer says. And I ended up having to pay a bunch of money with this old dusty credit card machine that he pulled out, and luckily it worked, because who carries that much cash all the time? It was several $100s. I don't carry that much cash, but I had to pay that fee to leave the country. And he was nice about it. The guy's like, hey, you can always go back over there and get them to straighten it out, but I have to go by what the computer says. And either A, I can't let you fly, or B, you pay the fee. And I paid the fee because I needed to roll. It cost me several $100. So I tell the story to say, if you find yourself in some situation like that, you plead your case very respectful, in a respectful manner, as in, hey man, this is what happened, can you please help me? You don't plead your case where you go like this and say, this is fucked up, blah blah blah. You're gonna lose. Now they don't care. How is helping you going to benefit them? They don't get paid by commission. And we'll talk about. So if you find yourself with a problem like that, state the facts, plead your case, respectfully ask for help, and whatever the answer comes down, you're going to have to somehow or another go with it. And it's one of them situations where, do you ask to speak to a supervisor? Will that make the problem worse, or could that make the problem get solved? I elected to just pay the money and go and tell my story about it. And do I fault anybody? Well, at the time I was pissed off because I lost several $100. The guy was trying to do me a favor, but somehow or another he dropped the ball and didn't put it in the computer. So looking back, I'm not mad at anybody. It's just the circumstances. But it was kind of scary when you get pulled aside and, hey man, you're an overstay. What? So anything comes up, the point is, remain calm. Don't go head to head with them. You're going to lose. It's like more people talk themselves into going to jail in America when dealing with the police than I think any other thing. We used to call it POP. Like, hey man, what'd you hook that dude up for? POP. Pissing off the police. You're dealing with cops. Silence is golden. Silence and respect. Start running that flapper, at some point you're going to go for whatever, disorderly conduct, POP, pissing off the police. A lot of states have laws about cursing around small kids or whatever. So you just let somebody run their mouth long enough till they start cursing, some kids walk by, they go to jail. POP. So don't create any problems at immigration by running that flapper or trying to go like this. You're gonna lose. And I'm gonna tell you about somebody who lost in the next story here. I was at an immigration office one time, and there was a female immigration officer, and this chick started running her mouth, blah 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 blah. If I recall correctly, this Russian chick, blah blah blah, running that fucking mouth. The female officer sitting across the way, just remaining quiet, listening to this fucking abuse. Everybody in the room wanted to be like, hey, shut up, you shut the hell up. But you don't get involved. And so she kept running that mouth, cursing, disrespecting the female immigration officer, sitting there remaining quiet, and a male immigration officer came over with some type of stamp, pulled her passport out, went like, now you have 4 days to leave Thailand. It was a matter of days. Just said in English, now you have 4 days, you leave Thailand. Just like that. You're out. So don't go toe to toe, right? That story happened years ago. And then about a year ago, I was in an office. Some dude came in smelling like booze. Had a dispute with a female immigration officer. And as he was walking out, everybody in the room heard him. She heard him. He said, F you. She came around that corner, ran the dude down. And I imagine his ass ain't in that country no more. Moving right along. Okay, express fees will piss you off. If you renew your visa online in a lot of countries, they'll have an express fee. You're like, I'm doing it online. Why I gotta pay this express fee? When in Rome, do as the Romans and don't complain. You'll go to an office, they'll tack on that express fee, and you're standing in line like everybody else. Don't argue it. It's how they do business. If you argue it, all you do is put yourself on the radar. It's not going to help you. If that's the fee, that's the fee. Pay it. It's 20 extra bucks, 30 extra dollars, whatever it is. Like here in the PI, usually they tack on 1500. It's less than 30 US bucks. Pay the money, don't complain. Your mission is to get out of that office with your visa extended. That's your mission. Don't complain about a few bones. But people will. That's the principle of it. You're not there trying to teach locals about principles. You're not there trying to instill your morals or what the ethics of this organization you used to be a part of. You're not trying to do that. You're trying to get a visa extension. So if there's an express fee, pay it. I pushed on my luck one time, way back when, going to Cambodia. I was there early in the morning. I was the only dude there. I was waiting at the border, the land border, just backpacking. I got there early, and I'm the only person in the office. I mean, they were turning the lights on, right? So I walk in, I'm the only person in the office. And clearly up on the wall, there was these signs about how much the visa was. I don't remember what it was, right? But then there was an express fee, if you wanted it done quicker. So I'm the only one in there. It's like 3-4 immigration officers. I go up there, and they're like, it's $35, for example. And I said, but the sign says 20. Okay, I'll push the luck, right? Push my luck. See if I can get out of paying this extra $15. Here comes the supervisor. The supervisor had a clipboard, okay? He comes over and he's just looking at me and he's just like this. Just staring at me. And I got the message real quick. You said it was 35? Oh, here you go. Here you go, fellas. He didn't say nothing. He just looked, slapped that clipboard, and just expressed his displeasure with this cheap Charlie Farong, who he perceives to be rich, and compared to what his salary is, we all are rich from the West, right? And I'm sitting there arguing over $15. He wasn't happy. I paid the money. I don't want no trouble. But some of y'all would sit there and argue it. It's not necessary over $15. If it was $1,500, okay, I'm not telling you how to spend your money. $15, $20, $30 for an express fee. Don't complain. Just pay it. That's my advice to you. Okay, and that was subtly the advice that Cambodian immigration supervisor was conveying to me, the lone backpacker. And when he said express fee, I looked around the room. I was exaggerating. I'm exaggerating body language. Ain't nobody here. Anyhow, moving right along. Whatever local tax may be, you pay it. And there was one more stories. Maybe that's all the stories. All right, folks. So I did leave out one story. Audio might be a little echoing in here, but I just got to get the video finished, and I didn't want to leave out this story. Also, note to self, when you're outside with changing lighting conditions, don't lock the ISO and the aperture. Anyhow, so when I talk about immigration rules and regulations can and do change, and sometimes can change very drastically, almost overnight. It happened to me in Thailand. Long story short, I first moved to Thailand. I'm on a marriage visa. Okay, I'm married. Life is wonderful. Then what happens when you get a divorce? All of a sudden, one of the last things that came crashing down on me was, holy crap, I'm about to lose my visa because I'm no longer married. Once you get a divorce, that's it. So basically I had to get an education visa. Now look, this is years and years and years ago. So when I first went and got my education visa, you could go to school if you want, or if you didn't, and nobody really cared, right? And that went on for a few years, and then what happened in Thailand? There was a military coup. Now, when you're planning your vacation or your retirement, where you're going to live for the rest of your days, do you factor in the possibility of a military coup? Well, it's probably the last thing on anybody's mind. What if the government dissolves overnight or there's a military coup? Well, that's what happened. There was a military coup. All of a sudden, there was martial law. It was an interesting time. I don't want to say it was scary because, like, after the coup went down, there were curfews. There were, it was very soft. It wasn't like a military coup like you're thinking of, like Tiananmen Square or shit like that, right? With tanks everywhere. It was very soft, but we had a curfew during that time. It just meant at the bar at 10 o'clock, the bar owner tell everybody to go home, or we got to close the door and lock everybody in until the morning. It wasn't a big deal. So that went on. Hey, whatever, living in Thailand, but it's not my business. It's local politics. But how does this affect me? Initially, it was just a curfew. No big deal. I go to renew my education visa, and everything was as normal. And then before I had to go up to Laos to the embassy to get it done, you have to do it outside the country. My guy came to me and said, hey man, there's the military is making some changes. There's a lot of changes to the visa laws and regulations. He said, you got to go to school now. Where before it was optional, you got to go to class. I said, okay, like what days for how long? He said, well, right now they're saying you got to go for 2 days a week. All right, no problem. I need to learn some Thai anyhow. I'll go 2 days a week. Not a big deal. Go up to the embassy, get my stuff done, and come back. He said, hey, you got some more news. They're saying now you got to go to school 4 days a week. They're going to be checking. Now look, when you go from total freedom to being able to just free and backpack around the country and enjoy yourself, and really immigration is not in your mind, it's freedom. And then I went to having to go to school 4 days a week, which I wanted to learn some Thai. I needed to learn Thai. I went to school 4 days a week and actually had to renew this visa every 3 months, which meant that every third month I had to physically be in Thailand. I couldn't renew it from outside the country. So say you had a wedding or a funeral or some type of business to handle, you had to plan it around that renewal day every 30 days, and you had to be there like 2 weeks before and a week after. All of a sudden, immigration was so intertwined in my life. It was a big part of my life. It went from being zero part of my life, like, every year just going up there one day and paying some money, to now I'm in school. I got immigration officers coming in the classroom, taking pictures and taking attendance. And I'm glad I went to school, but it changed my lifestyle overnight. That's how drastic things can change depending on what country you find yourself living in. And that's just one example. And eventually the government changes. Do they change the immigration laws? They're always changing. Okay? So, am I saying that you should consider that? Well, maybe you should do some history, right? Research the history of the country you're moving to a little bit more than just saying, oh man, I'm moving to Colombia because the chicks are hot, blah, blah, blah. Well, maybe you want to look at the history of the government there, and when the government did change, how did they change their policies towards expats and foreigners and all that? And then what is the relationship of that government with your home government? Just a little bit more research so you're not blindsided. But I'll be honest with you. I mean, there's been a lot of coups in that country. It's like, I don't want to say clockwork. I knew about it, but it just didn't factor in the same way it didn't factor in, what if I get a divorce? When you get married, you don't plan on, most of us, well, I do now, but most people don't plan all the contingencies out. Some people don't plan any contingencies about what if I get a divorce. I'm moving to Thailand with my Thai wife. What if I get a divorce? Yeah, there's a bunch of beautiful Thai girls everywhere. I wasn't concerned. But I never stopped to think, holy crap, I get a divorce, my visa is only good for like 15 days, or I got to get out of the country. The importance of your visa. Anyhow, that's my story. So I did leave out one story about how I went from being totally free to backpack, to travel, to do whatever I wanted to do. Military coup, visas totally change, and now I've got immigration very intertwined during those years of my life. Money makes the world go round. We all know this. Military industrial congressional complex. Everybody's in it together. Congress has to U.S. Congress has to drum up some type of conflict somewhere. That way, the military industrial complex can have a reason to make more bombs, right? It's all self-supporting. It's all a meat grinder. The legal system, it's all a meat grinder, right? Attorneys wouldn't be attorneys if people didn't get arrested. Prisons wouldn't employ so many people, or private prisons make so much money if people weren't put in prison. It's all dependent, right? It's no different for the immigration industry. So it is an industry. A lot of people make a living, make money off of this industry. So the rules are not going to get easier for the most part. There's always going to be paperwork, requirements, bullshit, because even right down to the person working the copy machine, making 10 copies of something that's either going to be dropped in a wastebasket 5 minutes later, or B, their staple gets put in it and they use the back of the paper as a notepad. So you'll go somewhere and they'll write something out and hand it to you. You look on the back, there's some dude's passport photo, whatever. It's reused, but it's useless. But you have to pay because the guy running the copy machine needs to make money. It's an industry. What should I call it? The immigration industrial congressional complex. And I'll leave you with this statement. A lot of these countries, right? Okay, in the West, there's ways to collect taxes. There's so many ways to collect taxes. And in these developing nations, it's not so easy to collect money out of your paycheck. So in the West, they just take the money from your check. They just steal it up front. Nothing you can do about it. Outside of the West, where they can't easily take it out of your pocket or your bank account, they take it on a daily basis. So in a lot of countries I've traveled to around the world, the retired immigration officer out in the countryside has the biggest house. All right, folks, so that's what I have to say. I hope you learned something. Maybe I invoke thought. That's my top 4 tips about dealing with immigration. Do I need to summarize it? Use a service. Dress like a gentleman. I already forgot what the tips were. Getting old. So maybe I don't recap them. Most of it's common sense. But if you've never lived outside your home country and you're new to this game and you're naive to the game, you will be apprehensive about paying any extra money because what you consider it to be is a bribe. I'm not paying no bribes. Bribe is a very subjective word. What's the difference between a bribe or a tax? It's just the context that it's used in. It's government taking money from your pocket, putting it into their pockets. So if you're one of those that's a principle of it, I ain't paying no damn bribe. Well, you're not gonna make it very long outside of the West. When in Rome, do as the Romans. If they say pay this is the amount, just fork over that fucking amount. I'm not saying get scammed. If somebody says, oh, it's $50,000, oh, come on. But if it's an extra $20, $30 to get what you need done, accomplished, from a government that's outside your home country, you got to pay the tax. Pay the fee. It's a tax. It's a fee. Look at it like that. And go on about your day. Go to the beach. Drink beer. Enjoy your retirement. Stop trying to figure out anybody's immigration system. Because again, the most screwed up immigration system in the world is the United States of America. And I think that's the big problem, is that a lot of you guys coming over to Central America or Southeast Asia, anywhere, and you complain about this country or that country's immigration system, the reason you complain is because you've never had to deal direct with your own immigration system, with our own USCIS or anybody in the United States immigration system as a whole. If you've dealt with USCIS, then you know how easy and how much of a pleasure it is dealing with an immigration service such as the Philippines or Thailand or Cambodia. It's a pleasure. You try to call USCIS and get a status update on your case, trying to get your wife a visa to move to the U.S. Good luck. Good luck. It's worse than IRS. It's like a black hole where there's nothing. So anyhow, some of us who have dealt with that system, we know how good we have it dealing with other countries' immigration. And I'm very appreciative of how easy it is and how efficient it is, even though there's problems. But compared to my own, it's golden. Name a country. Even getting held as an overstay, not held, but sort of detained as an overstay in Dubai over a little computer error. Not complaining, because I paid some money. I paid the fee. I was able to board my flight, and I'm still in the good graces with Dubai. I can come and go as I please. It was solved like that. Things in my home country of America aren't solved that easily. It's a nightmare. My God, they probably would have given me a court date. 3 years from now, I got to be in court or be a damn... you see what I'm talking about, right? That's my talk, folks. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching my show, listening to my voice. You want to help support what we do here? Go down and buy yourself something nice from one of our affiliate links, and we take a commission. And I'll say thank you up front, because these Filipinos, they eat way too much rice. Alright, I'm out of here. Peace out, my friends.